So today we'll do the tumors of the liver. Tumors of the liver is classified into benign tumors, which is adenoma and hemangioma, and we'll be discussing some of the malignant tumors like hepatoblastoma, angiosarcoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, and cholangiocarcinoma. Liver cell adenoma is usually seen in young women using oral contraceptives. It will regress after discontinuance of the oral contraceptives. It can be mistaken for hepatocellular carcinoma and have a great tendency to rupture. That will be a cause for severe intraperitoneal hemorrhage. Rarely it may harbor hepatocellular carcinoma. Morphological features grossly the tumor has a color of pale yellow, and it is usually present singly, but rarely, like 10% times, it is multiple. It is partly or completely encapsulated and slightly lighter in color than adjacent liver, or it may be bile stained. The cut section of the liver will have varying degrees of infarction and hemorrhage. So this is hepatic adenoma. The color of the hepatic adenoma is slightly pale in color. It is well encapsulated. This is a single adenoma present in this liver, and the color is yellow tan. Inside the cut section, or in the cut section, there will be areas of hemorrhages. Microscopically, liver cell adenoma contains sheets and cords of hepatocytes which may be normal looking. In between these cords, you have proliferating capillaries. Okay, these are the small proliferating capillaries. But the important difference here between the adenoma focus, encapsulated adenoma focus, and the normal liver is it doesn't have any portal tract or bile duct. The adjacent liver might show some fatty change. So these are the microscopic picture of hepatic adenoma: sheets and cords of hepatocytes, fatty change and glycogen deposit, lack of portal tracts and bile ducts. Bile canaliculi can have bile plugs. Neovascularization and thrombosis can occur in these vessels. Liver hemangioma is the commonest benign tumor of the liver. Majority of them are asymptomatic and they are discovered accidentally. Rarely, a hemangioma may rupture into the peritoneal cavity. Grossly, a hemangioma appear as a solitary, or sometimes you can see even multiple focuses, and it is well circumscribed, red-purple in color. It is usually present just under the capsule. So this is the Glisson's capsule, and just under the capsule you can find the hemangioma. It might range from a few millimeter to few centimeters in diameter. Commonly we see, like we all know, the hemangiomas are of two types, capillary and cavernous. So in liver we find mostly the cavernous type of hemangioma. Texture of the liver will become spongy in the hemangioma site. So this is how the cavernous spaces are seen. Large blood-filled spaces lined by single layer of plump endothelial cells filled with RBCs, and it is separated by a connective tissue in between. Adjacent you can see a normal liver tissue with hepatocytes arranged in lines or cords, with the focal biliary which is present in brown color. These are the bile ducts. Okay. Some hemangiomas may undergo fibrosis and later might get calcified. Now coming to the primary carcinomas of the liver, hepatocellular carcinoma is also known as hepatoma, which is hepatocytic in origin. It accounts for 85% of the primary cancer. Besides that, cholangiocarcinoma accounts for 5 to 10% of the primary cancer of the liver. Cholangiocarcinoma is of bile duct origin. The remainder are rare tumors that include hepatoblastoma, hemangiosarcoma, that is also called as angiosarcoma, and some embryonal sarcoma. Hepatocellular carcinoma or liver cell carcinoma, also termed as hepatoma, is the most common primary malignant tumor of the liver. There is mostly a predominance of black race, and the male to female ratio is 4:1. Global incidence is mostly linked to the HBV infection because it is mostly related to geographical locations where the incidence of HBV and HCV infection is more. Higher carrier state is there in HCV, so that will increase the risk up to 2-fold. Cirrhosis sometimes may be absent before the formation of hepatocellular carcinoma. Like in HBV, directly chronic hepatitis might lead to hepatocellular carcinoma. So in that case, cirrhosis may be absent as an intermittent stage. It is seen in around 20 to 40 years of age. In low risk area, 85 to 90% association with cirrhosis will be there. Mostly there will be a change called as large liver cell dysplasia, or it is mostly identified by cellular enlargement, nuclear hyperchromatism, multinucleated cells, and this is found in 60% of cirrhotic liver with hepatocellular carcinoma. Chronic alcoholism is also related to HCC. It is observed that alcoholics have about a 4-fold increase in the risk of developing hepatocellular carcinoma, and it acts as a co-carcinogen with hepatitis B virus and C virus, but alone as such it doesn't have a direct role in the causation of liver cancer. HCV infection also plays an important role in causation of liver cancer, as in long-standing HCV infection has emerged as a major factor in the etiology of HCC. In developed countries, there is higher incidence of hepatocellular carcinoma, mostly because of uprising cases of HCV. Whenever the patient is having anti-HCV and anti-HBC antibodies, mostly these people have 3 times the higher risk of developing liver cancers. More than 60 years of age group is more predisposed of getting a liver cancer. Pathogenesis mostly can be explained on the basis of genetic mutations induced by one of the major etiological factor. Maybe it can be HBV or HCV repeated infections, which might convert into cirrhosis, or it might convert into hepatitis that will lead to increased cell turnover. And if in case there is any mutation occurring, like inactivation of tumor suppressor genes like P53, that results in causation of HCC. Along with that, direct integration of the HBV DNA with the host DNA has also played an important role in the formation of hepatocellular carcinoma. In many cases, there is a mutation because of HBV X protein, which arises from the X gene of HBV. So what does this protein do? This protein is usually causing the inhibition or inactivation of the tumor suppressor gene P53. This results in disruption of normal growth control and lead to transcriptional activation of growth promoting gene. So that will lead to increased cell turnover, and if there is any mutation in between, that will lead to proliferation of the mutated cells. Aflatoxins are mycotoxins which also play an important role and act as a co-carcinogen. The aflatoxin B1 produced by a mold Aspergillus flavus can contaminate poorly stored wheat grains or groundnuts, especially in the developing countries. Aflatoxin B always acts along with hepatitis B virus as a co-carcinogen. So, hepatitis B infection causes mutation of the hepatic enzyme and aflatoxin exposure. So, there is a co-carcinogenic exposure of aflatoxin and HBV and the mutant hepatic enzymes, leading to proliferation of abnormal cells in the liver, leading to hepatocellular carcinoma. If there is no HBV infection, then there is low incidence of hepatocellular carcinoma. But if there is HCV infection with chronic alcoholism, hemochromatosis and hereditary tyrosinemia, all that will lead to cirrhotic formation, and cirrhosis can lead to development of hepatocellular carcinoma. So cirrhosis of all the etiological type is more commonly associated with HCV. Mostly the macronodular type of cirrhosis is responsible for progression to HCC. And the mechanism of progression to HCC mostly is because of regenerating nodules seen in the cirrhosis, or that the damaged liver in cirrhosis is rendered vulnerable to carcinogenic influences. Morphology wise, there are three patterns of growth in decreasing order of frequency. Like first, the most common is expanding or unifocal type of HCC, multifocal type and diffusely infiltrating type. The expanding type is usually present singly, and it is mostly in the form of a yellow mass, yellow large mass mostly in the right lobe of the liver. There might be areas of central necrosis and hemorrhage. Occasionally you can see greenish bile staining color. So this is an expanding type of HCC. Usually this is single large mass, yellow to greenish in color because of bile staining. There can be areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. The second type is multifocal type. Multiple masses of 3 to 5 centimeter in diameter scattered can be seen throughout the left and the right lobe as well. Infiltrating type is mostly the HCC forms diffusely infiltrating tumor. Microscopically, typically you see a similar type of characteristic microscopic feature in different patterns of arrangement of tumor cells. So the tumor cells in the typical HCC resembles hepatocytes, but they will be varying degree of differentiation. So what do we mean by that? Individually, if we see, these malignant tumor cells will be similar to the normal hepatocytes, but they will be having vesicular nuclei. Vesicular nuclei means the nuclei will be appearing to have blisters inside the chromatin. So that's why the name vesicular was given, and they will be prominent nucleoli, and there will be different varying sizes as well as shapes will be there. So nuclear pleomorphism will be there, and the cytoplasm is mostly granular eosinophilic cytoplasm and becomes increasingly basophilic if the malignancy is of a higher grade. Sometimes we can also see bizarre giant cells formation, and we can see these cells present in arising from a cirrhotic nodule, and mostly this is a trabecular pattern of the cell arranged in 2 to 8 cell wide layers separated by fibrous stroma and vascular spaces. Another type of microscopic pattern can be pseudoglandular or acinar pattern, where the tumor cells are arranged mostly in the form of acini or gland. Compact pattern means they are just arranged in the form of solid sheets like this. Okay, just they won't be arranged in trabeculae or anything, they'll be just solid sheets. Then cirrus pattern means if suppose this intervening stroma has become abundant, okay, lots of fibrosis has occurred, so that will lead to cirrus pattern of hepatocellular carcinoma. Now the fibrolamellar carcinoma is mostly found in young people of 20 to 40 years of age. Mostly it is not associated with cirrhosis or HPV, and it has a better prognosis than the normal HCC with a 5-year survival rate of up to 60%. And if you see the microscopy will be similar, like eosinophilic polygonal cells will be there, but they'll be slightly oncocytic, means more granular cytoplasm will be there, and it will form cords and nests separated by fibrous stroma. So this word fibrous stroma is important. Fibrolamellar means fibrous stroma means fibro. Lamellar means cords and nests. Okay, in a lamellated pattern will be there. Hepatocellular carcinoma clinical features often includes a background of cirrhosis or a chronic hepatitis. The patient will be having upper abdominal pain, mostly because of enlarged liver, that is hepatomegaly. Associated features can be malaise, fatigue, weight loss, abdominal mass, and jaundice, fever, and bleeding tendencies can also be there. Bleeding tendency as such, they might be hemorrhage from the esophageal varices leading to hematemesis, or they can be melena as well. Ascites can also be present. If we do the laboratory findings, the most important laboratory finding that yields non-specific results can be there, like anemia, and elevated serum alkaline phosphatase can be seen in cirrhosis, and high serum alpha fetoprotein can also be seen. Elevated alpha fetoprotein level is quite specific, whereas very high level, that is above 500 nanogram per ml, is observed in majority of the HCC. But the problem is it lacks sensitivity. That means this alpha fetoprotein can be seen in other cases like yolk sac tumors, cirrhosis, massive liver necrosis, normal pregnancy, fetal distress, fetal defects. So it's a false positive result in these conditions. So we cannot differentiate between these conditions and HCC. And sometimes small lesions can also be missed. You can also do ultrasound of liver, which is more sensitive at detecting these small lesions. Apart from that, we can do a liver function test with in the prothrombin time as well. Spread, mostly the death is within 10 months because of cachexia, GI bleed, hepatic coma, and rupture of the tumor. Intrahepatic spread can occur because of hematogenous route and form multiple metastases in the liver, whereas extrahepatic spread can occur via different sites, chiefly to the lungs and the bones. Hepatoblastoma affects mostly children. It is a rare malignant tumor arising from primitive hepatic parenchymal cells. The main clinical features are abdominal distension along with anorexia, jaundice, fever, and high alpha fetoprotein. It is usually fatal within 6 months of life because the baby will be having failure to thrive, and mostly death will be due to hepatic failure or hemorrhage or widespread metastasis. Microscopically, hepatoblastoma. So always I say blastoma means primitive cells, and whenever primitive cells come to your mind, so imagine the picture of retinoblastoma, neuroblastoma, how the cells are there. All the blastomas are included under small round cell tumor which resembles lymphocytes. So here also we see small round cells, but the difference is we have two types of hepatoblastoma, epithelial type and mixed epithelial and mesenchymal type. So the epithelial type has two cells, embryonal cells and fetal cells. Embryonal cells are small, dark, hyperchromatic nucleate cells, and fetal cells are large cells with granular to clear abundant cytoplasm. Mixed epithelial and mesenchymal type have foci of osteoid, cartilage, striated muscle. So this is how a hepatoblastoma will look like. They can be a dark area containing small round embryonal cells and a lighter area containing large fetal cells. Angiosarcoma is a rare liver tumor, mostly seen in men of old age, and the etiology is mostly because of exposure to vinyl chloride, arsenic, thorotrust, radiopaque material. Metastasis is mostly towards the lung, and patient dies within 6 months due to hepatic failure. Grossly, angiosarcoma is multicentric, that is, you see multiple foci and involves both the right and the left lobes. It is diffusely infiltrating and hemorrhagic in appearance, along with grey white solid nodules with blood filled cavities can be there. Thorotrust associated tumors have subcapsular hepatic and splenic deposits of yellow chalky material. So this is how the multifocal angiosarcoma will look like. Microscopically, angiosarcoma is mostly composed of infiltrating, freely anastomosing vascular channels. So, of course, it is a counterpart of hemangioma, a malignant counterpart of hemangioma. So, we see the vascular channels, but here the vascular channels will be anastomosing, means they will be joining with each other. And to say it is a malignancy, we should see some anaplastic features or atypical features. So what are the cells here? The cells are the lining epithelium of these vascular channels, that is endothelium. So we see the tumor cells of the endothelium grow along the sinusoids adjacent to hepatic cords. Tumor cells have abundant pale eosinophilic cytoplasm, poorly defined cell borders, and are usually pleomorphic with hyperchromatic nuclei, but may be only mildly atypical. So this is how they lie in the vascular spaces, mostly pleomorphic and atypical. Cholangiocarcinoma is the designation used for carcinoma arising from bile duct epithelium within the liver. It is divided into peripheral cholangiocarcinoma, that is, if it arises from the bile duct within the liver, or if it arises from the large hilar ducts, then it is called as hilar cholangiocarcinoma, and if it arises from the extrahepatic ducts, it is called as bile duct carcinomas. Here also we can attribute the occurrence to the exposure to radio-opaque dye, thorotrust, anabolic steroids, clonorchiasis, and fibrocystic disease. So clonorchiasis is a parasite, and the prevalence of this parasite constantly or chronically in the liver causes formation of cholangiocarcinoma. And this clonorchius sinensis mostly reside in the bile ducts. Grossly, the cholangiocarcinoma forms firm to hard white mass. Microscopically, we see glandular architecture of biliary epithelium. They are also arranged in tubules, ducts, papillary, and occasionally we have mucinous cells, signet ring cells with fibrosis of stroma. So this completes our liver tumors. If you have any doubt, you can revert back to me. Thank you.